This is October 9th, 2010, and I'm standing on the corner of the 8.85 acre lot that will be home to the Cottage Project, which is a RCM zero energy home that we'll be highlighting on the website and presenting over the next year and a half in terms of its design and construction. You can see that it's a fairly rural area within the city of Concord, New Hampshire, which is a rare part of the city, and we've been fortunate to acquire this property after waiting nearly 2.5 years to close on its purchase. Approximately 7 acres of this parcel is in deeded conservation space as it abuts the Mill Creek outlet to Turtle Pond. Standing at the driveway entrance, as you can see, the boundaries for the wetlands buffer has been marked at the corner. And this is the future entrance to the approximately 700-foot driveway that needs to go to the back of the lot, where we'll find about a 2-acre building area for the Cottage Project. The adjacent property is the original farmstead for this area that goes back well over 150 years. Standing now on the entry about 50-75 feet in from the road line, you can look back and get a better idea of how this lot ties into the city access drive. The red stake has been marked off at the center line of the driveway for the first 650 feet heading in. And even though there's a considerable side slope here at the beginning, this is about the worst area in terms of driveway construction, of dealing with change in slope. By and large, as we head in on the property, we'll find that to the left side of the drive heading in will remain fully wooded, and to the right side of the drive will remain pasture land. As we can see here, standing further back in the lot, looking out to the main road, we see the 1850s vintage farmhouse complex, which is quite large unto itself, between house and barn, and the field and pasture land that has partially been overgrown over years. But we'll be mainly dealing, when we get into the construction of the lot, to this area in the rear, which is about 700 feet back, and we'll focus our attention there. I've now crossed over into the main zone of where it will be cleared for the residents, the Cottage Project. This area has been previously cut off as far as major timber in the past. I'm standing on a stone wall that goes approximately east-west, that bisects the property, and we'll be treating the zone to the north of that stone wall differently from the zone to the south. Approximately in this area we'll be designing a fairly New England style carriage shed that will not only function as a buffer between the properties, but ultimately will be the home of the major array of solar panels for our solar production for the project, and have the luxury of orientating the building and the roof line to get as true a north-south orientation as we can. And then as we swing here further to the northwest, you'll be able to see the flagging which heads down the right-hand side of the property. That'll be the boundary to the adjacent parcel, and within this zone we'll be designing the layout for the Rose Cottage project to sit within this 2-acre parcel of land that is not restricted by open space requirements. I'm now standing within approximately 250 feet of the shoreline to Turtle Pond, which is actually quite a nice largemouth bass fishing pond here in the east corner of Concord, New Hampshire. You can see we have one more pocket wetland right in front of us that'll require us to weave an access pathway from the residence down to what will be the dock area for the home. This zone is also covered by the Shoreline Protection Act within the state of New Hampshire, which governs what can be done within the last 250 feet of shoreline, the most restrictive part being between 0 and 50 feet from the shoreline, and then the next buffer zone being 50 to 100 feet. And that'll require a shoreline protection permit and a separate dock permit in order to make that happen. And we'll conduct that work over the following months this winter to get that work done. I'm now standing on what will be facing the rear of the dwelling, and even though it's hard to see with this camera angle, there is quite a drop, a grade, between where I'm standing and what will ultimately be the first floor of the residence. Approximately 20 feet of grade change. You can see quite a bit of large stone on the hillside that's been here for a long time. And just at the toe of that slope begins the conservation easement to my right. And so we'll be designing the layout of the home to take advantage of the slope side for a full walkout lower level, which will also be designed as completely conditioned and habitable occupancy space in the Rose Cottage project. Standing here, I'm now approximately 150 feet from the shoreline, and we see what's been taped off as the demarcation zone between tree clearing that can be done now before permitting, and then the tree clearing that can be done within the last 150 feet of the property. And in the background you'll be able to see a second tape line that is the 50-foot demarcation zone, and then in the rear you can see the future access point to Turtle Pond.